All right, I know you've heard it over and over. It's been in the news, it's been in social media. Car thefts on the rise. Last year, more than 1 million cars were stolen for the second straight year. Police only find about 20% of these cars that are stolen. Some are taken on joyrides and ditched later, while others end up in chop shops or even sold with fake VIN numbers and titles. Well, here with us to talk about how to protect your car from thieves is Patrick Olson from Carfax. He's also taking your questions. What we want you to do is just text those questions to the number on your screen. That number is 336-379-5775. And have you ever had your car stolen?
Thankfully, I have not.
I have known people who had their car stolen, walked out, went into the parking lot, and all of a sudden their car is just gone.
It's got to be the worst feeling in the world.
So we want to talk about how we want to avoid people stealing our cars. So what should we be doing, at least over the next couple of months, that we should be mindful of?
So a few things about your car. So believe it or not, there are people in this country who have key fobs for their car, and in the interest of saving time, they'll leave the fob in the car in their driveway, and that is a terrible mistake. It's also a matter of when you go places and you go use a valet or something, make sure that that they're putting the keys away in a safe place that's secured. When you're parking at a store or you're parking at someplace away from home, make sure you're parked in a well-lit area. You may want to avoid scratches to your car, but when you park way away from everyone else, you make your car more of a target.
Okay. All right. So coming up soon, a lot of teens getting jobs for the summer. They're going to need cars to get to those jobs. So let's kind of talk about the best cars for first-time drivers. I think normally you want to get some old clunker that can be beat up and it's something that's really big, but that's not always really what the mindset should be.
Well, that's where the trade-off comes for parents. They have to balance, the cost of the car, and clunkers are nice and cheap, versus safety in the car. So, the newest cars have automatic braking and they have blind spot warning, and older cars don't have that. But I will say, if you target model year 2012 or later, every car built since then has had what they call stability control. So ABS brakes are in it, and traction control is already automatically in it. Those are the type of cars you should look for your first-time drivers. Don't get anything too powerful. First-time drivers are very skittish, and too much power too soon can lead to really unforeseen accidents.
I like the idea that they need to have some bells and whistles because it actually will help them drive a little bit better.
Absolutely. If you can get like Apple CarPlay for them so that they can see a map and they can have their text read to them, that's great. They've got to keep the phone down. And as parents, you have to model that behavior for them.
All right. So let's talk about the kind of research that we should do before we buy a car.
Absolutely. So one, look for cars that are reliable. Newer, older, either way, you want to make sure you get your money's worth for them. Take a list of the cars you're seriously thinking about and go to your insurance agent and say, how much are these going to cost for my teen to drive this car? It will surprise you the variance in cost for them. Small sedans, not so bad, but if you get a big SUV, you might feel safer, but you're also going to pay a lot more in insurance. I had another thought, but I lost that one.
Let's talk about this because I think this is one of the big issues that we hear all the time. Someone's bought a car and it's used.
Yes.
And then they say, they sold it to me and they said it was a great car, but 2 months later it doesn't work anymore.
Right. So the first thing you got to do when you're buying that used car is get a vehicle history report. Make sure that you see whether or not it's been maintained over the years. Make sure the mileage keeps adding in an upward motion, right? At 60,000, 70,000, 80,000. If it drops back down to 40,000, that's a big red flag, and it happens.
Because people either dial back the odometer or they make some kind of change or whatever else. What about taking it to someone else?
Any new car, and this is, I think, the most important advice for someone buying a used car. Take your car to a mechanic that you trust. Not only can they get it up on a lift and see things that you can't see, they also understand what they're seeing, and they can explain to you why those things are so important.
All right, and so people would say, all right, but I don't know if I want to buy that car, so how much should I pay to get that car looked at?
So it'll cost you about $100 to have a mechanic look at it, but in the end it can save you hundreds if not thousands of dollars if you avoid a bad car. The other thing you can do, and I've done this, is I had a car inspected. The mechanic found about $600 worth of work on it. I went back to the dealer and I said, look, I'll buy your car at your price if you'll do this work for me. He did the work, I bought the car, and we were both very happy.
Okay, back in the day, it used to be that if someone told you that the car was okay, that you would believe that the car is okay.
Yes. Yes, I think now, thankfully, we have a lot more sources of information that we can avoid it. One of the things to think about when you're buying a used car, whether you're worried about it being stolen or not, is you can get a history-based value of it. So if you go to carfax.com/value, plug in either the vehicle identification number or the license plate, and we'll tell you what that car is worth based on its history of service, based on its mileage, based on the features that it has. And if the price is way, way lower than that, that could be a red flag. There are people who are turning around, stealing a car today, going on online selling places and selling it tomorrow, and this is your way to check for that. Or you can check and see, are they asking way too much for this car and I should only pay this amount?
Gotcha. All right, what about some boundaries for your new drivers?
Absolutely. So new drivers absolutely need boundaries, and it will pay off in the end. So one, set a curfew. Having all of that freedom can lead to kids going and taking joyrides, long places, and being out at all hours. Set boundaries for when you want the car to be used, if it's to and from school, to and from work, things like that. Put a restriction on the number of people they can have with them. One of the biggest distractions for new drivers is other teens in the car. So make sure you set limits on that. As they get better and they get more confident and they prove to you that they're going to do it, you can relax those. Thirdly, tell them to put the phone down. Whether or not they've got Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, put the phone down, because I can't tell you how many people in the day, no matter what age, teenagers, people in their 80s, staring at their phone while they drive.
Yeah. And don't you love, as you're driving next to them and you're going like 60 miles an hour on the interstate, and you're like, why are you looking at your phone while you're doing that?
Well, they behave literally like drunken drivers. So they will either be going too slow for traffic, they'll be going too fast for traffic, they'll be, easing off into the shoulder. No, phones are a terrible distraction, and the sooner you can bake into your teen driver to leave it alone until you get to where you're going, the better off you'll be.
All right, I can already feel my phone vibrating with all of the different questions that you're asking. This is great, because we got 2 more segments. We're going to be taking your questions next. 336-379-5775. We'll be right back.